Uh, Hi, honey. We're live. How's it going? I'm in my
Great.
yoga clothes today because I'm running out to do Bex's yoga class this morning right after we finish.
Okay, well, you can ponder this great topic that we've spent a lot of time problem solving, food additive one, which is maltodextrin, and how it can be really problematic for causing inflammation in our bowels and our microbiomes. And so Hillary and I spent a lot of time talking about this because I've been dealing with this problem for years, from way back when we first started seeing maltodextrin creeping into our dietary supplements, our baby formula. It's in there. It's in pretzels, potato chips, frozen pizzas. It's just like added to many, 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 many more products. Every day I go to the grocery store, I have to look at it because I have a child who really reacts terribly to it. And we have had lots of discussions because nobody could figure it out. And this has been going on for, I think, 8 years.
So this is like a major issue. Dr. Kara and I are starting a series on food additives and how it's impacting your gut microbiome. If you haven't been following us, we are extremely interested in why so many of our patients are having leaky gut syndrome and gut brain issues and gut allergy issues. And looking at food additives is one of the big important things for us to do. So we're going to start to unpack food additives. Today's our first session on maltodextrin. So Kara's cute little girl actually gets violently ill if she has I don't know if you might know if it's just a small amount of exposure or if it's an additive exposure, if she's had a little here, a little there, a little here, a little there. But this is one of the things that's in a lot of processed foods. And I was watching something yesterday by Dr. Zach Bush, who's, speaking a lot about the food supply and soil regeneration. And he's a big advocate for cleaning up our food. And he was saying, the one thing that like people who start vegan diets and get really healthy, or people who start paleo diets and get really committed to paleo or keto diets and get really committed, the one thing that they all have in common, because they'll all sort of say that they have had these great health benefits, is that generally they're getting rid of processed foods. Like generally when people are starting out these missions and taking on a diet protocol, processed foods go by the wayside. And that's definitely true in our detox programs or our prepare for pregnancy protocol, that we're getting rid of things in boxes and bags. And so you're immediately getting health benefit because you're eliminating so many of these super toxic additives that are in our food. So let's talk about maltodextrin and what you know.
Okay, so first of all, what we're advocating is that you look on the nutrition facts, the nutrition label on everything you buy, because I'll tell you that as time goes on, all of a sudden these ingredients hit the market and then it's in sort of everything. It's unbelievable how fast they get in. And although maltodextrin is completely safe according to the FDA, my daughter really reacts terribly to it. So I'm just going to tell you the backstory of it. It would be under other ingredients below the sort of chart, other ingredients, and you'll see maltodextrin. It doesn't really indicate what it's made from. Like it can be made from corn, rice, wheat. It's just a starch that's hydrolyzed. So it's a highly processed ingredient. They its it for stability. It can actually sort of increase the shelf life. They use it for flow, for volume, for flavor. There's a bunch of reasons why it's being added to our foods, but it's not something our genetics are used to dealing with. Our GI tract is not made to recognize this molecular structure because it's highly processed, and that may be part of the issue with it. But I started to have this problem when my daughter was coming in my room at 4 to 5 a.m. and just violently vomiting, and she'll vomit for a few hours and has to sort of stay in the bathroom and kind of like falls asleep and then vomits more and then falls asleep and then vomits more. And she had this pattern, and I'm a doctor, so I felt like, okay, I need to get her checked out. The pediatrician checked her out. The GI doctor checked her out. She missed so much school because of this, because this kept happening. And then I tried to run a gluten-free diet. I tried to run all these things to see what would possibly happen. Her pattern, her reaction doesn't fit a food allergy, right? A food allergy, you eat it, within an hour, you're vomiting or you're having some reaction. It's like an obvious thing. You have hives, your lips start to swell. That's a food allergy, right? So this is some kind of other reaction that if she eats the food the previous day, early wee hours of the morning, she starts to feel sick, like she's going to vomit. And then eventually she starts vomiting for a few hours. But the problem was that then she would go back and eat these same foods. So one thing she was eating was slivered almonds. I would never have thought slivered almonds would have something that could cause this problem. At that time, she was eating pirate's booty. Pirate's booty now has it in it. So there's, children eat these processed foods sometimes. Her probiotic I was giving her at one point had it in it. And I couldn't believe it when I was reading the labels clearly.
Wow.
And I had to sort of track it down of what is this ingredient. And it happens every few months that she eats something that she's at someone's house, or she doesn't, because she's been able to eat this product in the past, she thinks it's safe to eat and doesn't quite check the label because it's in every kind of thing now. And so then she'll start vomiting again. And we say, oh, what did you eat yesterday? And we always trace it down. And then you look and it had maltodextrin in it. So it's a real thing. But the allergist I brought her to didn't know how to check a maltodextrin allergy. We checked all the things it's made from. Could it be a corn, a wheat, anything that it's potentially made from? She's not allergic to any of those things. The allergist was puzzled. The GI doctor was puzzled. The pediatrician was puzzled. I was puzzled, but I knew it was this ingredient. And so at that time, there was no information online about maltodextrin and potential harm of it. Now, if you look, we have all this data coming in that it can disrupt your microbiome, so your gut flora, and cause inflammation. And there must be something in there that's causing her problem. So that's the story with the highly processed issue of maltodextrin in foods. And that's one of the first ways that you and I, Hillary, started to realize this is a real issue, because then we had to start checking all our supplements that we're giving our patients, because things we've relied on in the past even have it in it. And I don't want to risk it, because just because it happened to me, I'm sure it's a very rare response, right? But just because it happened in my family, I also don't want to set up people who are coming to us to fix their health and help them get to better health. We don't want all these extra ingredients. And this is just the first one, maltodextrin. We have about 4 other ingredients we're going to go through. So this is video 1. Look for maltodextrin and see if you might be able to avoid it. I know that baby formula has it in there too. So I don't
Baby
know.
formula, salad dressings. So
Mhm.
Dr. Kara and I, if anybody's done any of our food classes, like we are really big fans of homemade salad dressings. So easy to do. Salad dressings are something that have huge ingredient lists that are just, it's so upsetting because you think you're doing something good for your health and you're really setting yourself back with inflammatory oils and some of these preservatives. Boxed pasta. So pretzels, any kind of boxed food, so that this is like a big issue for kids. I saw a kid yesterday in my practice who has had leaky gut and struggled, and we're really trying to figure out why, because he's young. And so tons of allergies and definitely leaky gut. The infectiousness doesn't look that bad compared to somebody that's been on the planet like me for many more years, where you've just been exposed to so many more critters. His exposure at 8 is just not as big as many patients' exposure in midlife. And so then we start to think, okay, then is there something that's in the diet regularly? Okay, he doesn't eat dairy because he's dairy sensitive. So then they're doing some of the substitute milks, almond milk, oat milk. He loves pasta, so there's lots of pasta. So I'm trying to get the wheat out, but then they're still using processed gluten-free pasta. So these things are just sneaky and pervasive. And as medical providers, we're looking kind of at the bigger things. And sometimes it could be one of these additives that they're getting exposed to all the time that's causing an issue in their gut microbiome. So we just have to the more we are eating food from the farmers markets and from I'm set up and I'm getting a response that I need to move because my son is making not processed foods.
It's good. He's making it from scratch. He's not grabbing a bar or one of these things you're saying.
He's
But
making Hillary eggs, and that's what he likes in the morning, some eggs and vegetables. So that's great.
It is great. I just want to say I haven't seen it in pasta yet. That's interesting. You notice that. See, it's like more and more products. The things I regularly buy, because sometimes I need staples at my house, right? Like I have staples. You and I both have pantries that have very healthy foods in them. And even if it says, gluten-free, it can have maltodextrin in it, right? It's vegan, it's plant-based, it is a gluten-free product. But it's interesting because now I need to go home and look at any pasta that's in my cabinet because I just it's like everything you buy that is processed, I have to check this because I have a family member who reacts. I just wonder, like you and I have talked a lot about this, how many of our patients and how many people in our culture are reacting to these ingredients that are added in and having GI problems that are the root of their mood problems, of their, how many people are on medications to fix these problems that could be rooted in their foods. And so this is a huge topic. I really think it's not looked at enough. And like I said, every doctor I went to ask about it, I said, I have traced it down to this thing called maltodextrin. They didn't know what that even really was.
Of course. I mean, this is happening. This is happening in our food supply. It's really hard to keep up with, I mean,
it's detective work. And so I'm excited for our next talk because topic 2, we have actual lab testing to go along with what we think is causing the GI problem, right, Hillary? I'm excited.
Great. I love it when you're excited. So y'all just start checking your labels, and really at the end of the day, just stop eating as much processed foods. Just stop it. And it's so easy for parents. Parents just often grab boxes and bags and easy things. And I did it too when I had small kids. But if you are feeding your kids real food, fruits, vegetables, meats, eggs, nuts and seeds, it's harder to get these things in their diet, right?
Well, so next time we're gonna talk about something that's often in our alternative milks, and we think we have lab evidence we're correlating it with something. So we're going to talk about that, and then we do have something that they're spraying on fruits that we want to talk about too.
It's really fun to be alive right now in 2023. No, I'm kidding.
But it's good information. It's good. We should know. And we don't know that any of these ingredients are the problem. It's if we're having a problem, it's worth looking at how
100%.
we fix it because there are alternatives to these.
And it's additive, and how many is, if you're getting a little bit of exposure here, a little bit of exposure there, when is it going to tip the scale for you to have a health problem? So it's really important to look. Okay, honey, I'm off to yoga. And what are you doing? It's Friday in Connecticut. Is it still raining? Is it good weather? What's happening?
It's beautiful and hot and muggy here, but I'm at work. I'm in my scrubs. I'm going to do some acupuncture.
Okay. Love
you. Bye.
Bye.